Margie Davy,
Here.
Lisa Marone,
Here.
Jacob Claymeyer,
Here.
Megan LaFond, Vic Oliver,
Here.
Brad Spanbauer,
Here.
Alyssa Renke,
Here.
Joe Stevenson.
Here.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 present. We have quorum.
Great, thank you. Seeing that nobody is here for public comment, we'll move right on to the approval of the minutes from our special meeting that we held on April 1st. Anybody would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve April 1st meeting minutes.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes as printed, as written?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Now we can do some introductions. This is fun. Introductions of some new board members. And I'm going to go a step back because I know I never did an introduction of Jacob because we weren't on the air that night. So we're going to start with you, Jake. Just tell us one thing about you.
Sure. One thing.
My name's Jacob.
My name is Jake Claymeyer, and I self-describe myself as a free food fanatic, so I love foraging plants. So, yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Mhm.
Thereby tying in some sustainability. I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we have another new member down on the end is Alyssa Reinke.
Yes, I'm Alyssa Renke. I just moved to Oshkosh from Fond du Lac, so not too far. I work at Fox Wolf Watershed Alliance doing the stormwater management coordination across northeast Wisconsin. So I love being local, and I wanted another sense of place and community, so I wanted to join the sustainability board.
And you guys did a wonderful cleanup over the weekend, right?
Yes, yeah, we had like 1,800 volunteers across
Wow.
the basin. Yeah, so a lot of folks.
That's
Fantastic. I saw a
Yes.
lot of them. And then I'd like to welcome our new liaison from the council, Joe Stevenson. You asked for us. Why?
Yeah, I asked for you guys. I'm happy to be on this board. Joe Stevenson, I'm the council member. I'm a big sustainable advocate and happy to be here. So,
We're glad to have you. Okay, No Mo May update and discussion. Hi, Brandon.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Okay, so registration for No Mo May closed last Friday. It officially closed, and we had just over 640 properties register, so much more than last year, which was exciting to see. We put out some FAQs this year, as well as sent out another follow-up email. So yeah.
And a press release, I think. Went in the paper.
Oh, and then the newsletter also last Friday.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I saw it several places. And I was impressed that when I clicked on to say I was doing No Mo May, then I got the full sheet of facts at the bottom of that too. So it was all over. That was good.
Yeah, we're kind of thinking next year, like Madison this year is calling it Low Mo May. So maybe next year, if you guys are wanting to maybe change it to Low Mo May, seems more appropriate.
I've also heard of slow-mo summer,
Yeah.
which is more of a sustained presence for the flowers throughout not just the month of May, right? So we can explore different sources for that, I think would be great.
I mean, city code again allows you to grow your lawn up to 8 inches long, which is pretty long, right? So I feel like you should be able to maintain that and still, provide the appropriate pollination flowers for the bees and the butterflies, right?
Well, and the Q&A said, don't mow it shorter than 3 inches ever, which I kind of want to just take that and hand it to my neighbors because we have longer grass always, but they don't. You can tell when it rains.
Well, the longer grass, it should stay greener more through the summer because it's kind of.
It doesn't die as
shading.
readily
Yeah.
too if it gets,
So,
if there's drought.
I've had some people reach out and sort of ask about No Mo May, and one thing that I think is kind of interesting to think about, or just worth discussing, is I think there are some folks where their yard is already probably in a state that them mowing is not going to make a difference from a habitat perspective.
if they have a lawn that is already fairly uniform, the mowing is going to reduce like their personal emissions, but I don't know that it's going to make a difference in terms of the biodiversity, right, within their lawn. Now, if they've got more of a textured lawn, right, they've got clover and violets and dandelions and those kinds of things in their lawn, which some people do, right, that's fine. My guess is also that there are yards, there are likely yards where people don't participate in no mow may, but that's also, those are likely the people who have very uniform turf lawns. And so, you know, them not participating, they probably weren't providing habitat in their lawn anyway.
Right.
So that was just a...
Like, because they use herbicides and stuff, and everything's been killed off, and it's
Right.
just, you
It's
know,
not going to help even if they participated. Correct.
it'd just be long grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing that I had someone ask about was if in future years we would have a little bit more of a grace period, so like maybe through the 7th, like within the first week of May, because there was
Yeah, it's a
people who were
little
like,
tight.
oh, I wanted to sign up, and they were like, yeah, it was after May 1st, and then they were done. So if we could do a little bit of a...
We can ask.
I believe we
Yeah.
discussed that last year and
I
asked
mean,
for that.
technically, registration, we left it open.
I thought it was throughout the entire month, wasn't it?
No,
Till, like,
they
the
closed it
15th
because
or
they don't want
okay.
people. The thought was like someone all of a sudden it's 15 days in and they're like, no, now I'm participating.
Yeah.
It's like you got to consciously
Make the
register.
commitment.
But I think like
I think we
a
did give
few
a
days
grace.
after the 1st would not hurt. There were people I know who were
Right.
like, oh, I would have participated and signed up.
We were getting phone calls we were signing people up until the end of the day on the 3rd.
Sure.
Oh,
So it was off the
So-
website, but if someone called or came into the counter, we did sign them up.
okay.
That's good to know.
I guess
Yeah, right.
I don't even
Yep.
have a problem with that, like up to the 15th, like halfway through May.
Well,
I
that's-
don't really care.
Yeah, so next year, I mean,
Yeah.
that's something council can, change if they'd like to.
Sure.
And then I know this was discussed, I think, as well in the past, but so let's say I have a yard, and I mow the front but not the back. Like, if you can't really see it, what is the, unless someone tells on you, I guess, is that sort of the thing?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay.
Someone has to like report you, right? And then you get audited and yeah.
Okay.
But they always warn you that you need to cut it before they fine you, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll get a
So-
letter and then there'll be a grace period saying, please correct within this many days. And it's like 7 or 10 or 14 days or something like that. And then, yeah.
I think for some people who might be low mow, no mow may, more inclined to do that, but they're maybe feeling a little like, oh, it's so hard. Like one piece of feedback that I've heard from several people is like, especially when we're getting warmer, wetter springs, the grass just grows so much that you have to you're basically baling hay at the end of the month. So they're like, if I could do the front yard or the area that's a little more visibly seen, like mow that part and then let the rest kind of go because it's like maybe not visible from the street or something.
Well, and there's no rule that says you can't mow.
Yeah.
You can take it down to 4 or 5 inches anytime you want,
Sure.
or 3.
No, but if we
or-
did more like education as to like,
Why?
hey, if you live in an area where, I don't know, maybe you care a little more about the front of your yard or the aesthetics of your home, like this is a great way you could still participate.
Have a trade-off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think some more education awareness around that.
And that's kind of something that we're going to be doing, like now the plan is to have a couple emails go out to the whole list of participants with these types of comments and recommendations and like reminders and more education pieces. So it's kind of hard to educate before, right? Like we have to have the
It
people who
is.
are interested. Now we have a list of
Yeah, there's
participants.
Yeah.
And then we can we can kind of help them with that email list. So.
Did we do anything at all with the lists from the 2 previous years?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I think we're just tracking numbers, right?
Yeah.
Do you have last year's number by chance?
It was like 353 or
350,
something. It was
yeah.
about
It's almost
half.
double.
And then
Yeah,
the year
that's what
before was in the 600s again, so
Right.
it's like it went from
Oh,
600 something to
weird.
300 something back up to 600. So I don't know
That
why
is
that
really
why that
strange.
is, but
I wonder if last year from that negative press.
That
could have been.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
There was some controversy up in Appleton about how they had done it or why they had done it. And that then people weren't as interested because they didn't believe that it was really going to help. But
Yeah.
obviously
that might
that's,
explain it.
we're all over that for this year. We're back up there. Next year, we need to double this again. That'd be awesome, yeah. I saw a monarch butterfly in my backyard. I don't want to brag, but I have a monarch. I was pretty darned impressed. First of all, that I even knew that that was that kind of butterfly, but also that it was there.
It would be interesting too to look at the list of participants year over year and see who's participated in year 1, 2, and/or 3, and then who's new. You know what I mean? So like,
How different is
you
the
had
list?
600-ish,
Yeah, yeah.
and then 350 some, and then 640. But like in year 2 or 3, are any of those new? And so are you actually getting a bigger list of folks from?
If you're interested in that, we could easily probably combine those lists and then usually, separate them.
Extrapolate the doubles, yeah. I think it'd also be cool to see it like laid over a map to see like where are the pockets.
Oh, that would also.
We talked about
That's
that.
what
Well,
I'm
that's like the
interested in.
ultimate goal, right? I think
Yeah.
was to kind of map this, but then again, if you're really doing it the right way, there's a whole app that you're supposed to download, and you're supposed to
Sure.
track the species in your yard and do all this extra stuff, like become a
Yeah.
researcher, a scientist almost in a sense. And then that's all tracked and plotted, and then you can maybe see migration patterns of different species.
Yeah.
So
Well-
there's definitely more that can be done, but.
All of that's really cool, Brandon, but I don't know that we would have to go that far.
Yeah.
I mean, we can use the data we have.
Yeah.
and- Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested
It'd
in
just be cool to
seeing
see.
the addresses plotted, that's not hard.
Yeah, you
would,
guys
yeah.
have all these tools to do that in planning, I
Well,
hear.
we purposely, the address list is created from GIS, so I mean,
Right.
we did it purposeful that way, so,
Yeah.
for this exact reason.
So
So,
you
be
can
fun.
import it pretty easily
Yeah.
then, okay.
Brilliant,
GIS
and
is
thank
fun.
you. Does anybody else have anything on Nomo May? Nomo, Lomo, Slow-Mo?
Would you all be open to having us provide some of that information you're going to send out to the participants? We could maybe help out if anybody has
Yeah.
good resources from other organizations.
we kind of have a couple things kind of pre-canned, thought of already, but absolutely, if you have ideas for these, weekly emails that we plan on sending out to these participants, by all means, just send Emma or myself an email.
Maybe it would be a good idea for you to send out what you sent to the people who signed up for it.
Sure.
To us, so that we know. Because if we didn't all sign up, we wouldn't have seen it.
For sure.
Okay, moving on then, we have our Energy Innovation Grant update. Who
Drum
gets that
roll.
one?
So, big news, we got awarded 55 and some change $1,000 to do a comprehensive energy study of the municipal buildings.
Nice.
So,
Excellent.
That's awesome.
yeah, it's awesome. So we're working on creating that RFP or RFQ and get that sent out sometime soon.
Who's the grant through?
Through the PSC, right? Public
Yeah,
Service
Public
Commission?
Service, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, on top of that, we can kind of maybe roll, let me think about this.
I guess any
Is
discussion
that
on
same,
that?
should we talk about the Stevens Point thing too? Okay, so Stevens Point also applied for the EIGP grant as the lead through Wisconsin, I always forget the name of this.
Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition.
Yeah, so they were
Oh,
they were the secondary on the application, and they got awarded that too, and that is like $165,000, and because we're one of those members, we potentially are going to have access to some of that money too, and that's to do energy planning of some sort, I think.
I think it's giving us access to ICLEI information to
Yeah.
like keep like a greenhouse gas inventory of, I think, just whatever we really want to use
Right.
it for.
So we don't quite know yet how our grant and how that other money is going to maybe coincide with each other, but maybe we can piggyback them in some sense, but yeah, it's exciting. So, and we have, all the data, all of the departments responded and gave us all the data that we needed. Because if you remember, we collected preliminary data, so if we did get awarded this grant, we could hit the ground running once the RFP closes. So that's kind of all still being worked on. They're doing water usage and all the electrical and gas data too. So there's probably like 15 to 20 buildings that they're looking at. So it's not every single building, but all the major buildings.
That's significant, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Do you have a sense, are there many other cities, either in Wisconsin or Midwest, that you could like comparable wise, I guess is what I'm a little interested in.
That
Is
has
there-
done this?
Yeah, that have done similar
all the major cities have done it, I think.
Okay.
I mean, some of these, what's it called? The Green Tier Legacy communities, where'd we go last?
Fitchburg.
Fitchburg.
So a lot of the communities
Yep.
in Dane County actually partnered together and
Okay.
did a comprehensive energy plan. Just, I'm not sure if it was for the same grant, but I know they kind of did it to
Sure.
compare
Yep.
just their municipalities to each other as
Okay.
well. So.
It kind of those places too. The entire city staff, I feel like, is better
Sure.
at this stuff too. They're more like their community really pushes for it, so therefore they have to be that way.
Sure.
Where we're kind of like, we're struggling a little bit to kind of gain traction in that sense. So hopefully this will help. Because then once we start tracking this stuff, then we'll know year after year. We'll know for you guys really. Mr. Urban will probably be able to better request certain CIP
Sure.
fundings for different buildings, knowing this information for future upgrades.
Sure.
That's kind of the overall plan or goal.
Well, and the information you're getting from this now, I would think could be compared to the information we had from the Ickley milestones that we did get.
Yeah,
And that was from 2012?
something like that, or
It's-
2009.
It's not new data, but it would be interesting to see.
To
if-
see what it was then and see
Yeah.
if it's worse or better, yeah.
Yeah, so let's not forget to bring in a little
Well,
history on that too.
we used all of those pieces of information in that application for that grant, so we
So it's readily
compiled-
available,
Yep.
it's at hand.
So if and when we get to that point, with a consultant and they're working on that, I'm sure they'll ask for those pieces of information and we'll, provide those documents to them.
And is all of this money going to be going towards the consultant to do this?
That's the plan, yeah. So the grant was for, how much was the grant for? $50,000, I think,
I think so.
maximum.
I
But
think
then
so.
because we went in on it with a nonprofit, we asked for 65 and we got 55. And part of what they're doing now is written into that grant too. Like, they're providing, I'm forgetting the name of it. What's the Energy Star?
Portfolio?
Portfolio
Yeah.
manager or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
They're getting that set up for us too,
Oh,
as part of this, so.
Oh, nice.
And that was kind of like pro bono on their part, that bolstered our application for that, so.
That's good.
mhm.
Super,
Yeah, all really good stuff, exciting.
nice work.
So the next step is putting out the RFP to then get bids for the actual analysis work,
Yep.
kind of bigger, deeper analysis of all the buildings.
Correct.
And then
The
what's
full,
the
like-
timeline on that, the rest of that process?
You would maybe know better than me, so when you get awarded that grant, is there a timeline on that funding?
Generally I think it's about a year.
Yeah, so I
So
mean.
it might be end of calendar 25, something
Maybe.
like that.
And I would think that we would have it done by then. That's, a long time.
Okay. So when does your RFP go out?
Well, we're
Soon.
we're actively working on it, so
Okay.
soon. I mean, I would hope by the end of this week or, soon, beginning of next week.
And then generally what's the turnaround on that?
Well, it has to be open for 30 days, I think, so.
Okay.
And then does this require council approval at any point, or is it already done?
That I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming they'll have to adopt the plan at some
I'd
point.
assume when whoever responds to the RFP will probably be in a consent agenda somewhere.
That's probably
just
true,
to
too.
approve the individual or company who would be doing it.
Right. This is kind of I've never been a part of something like this before, so.
Yeah,
And then on the, so City of Stevens Point is a sub-award of Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalitions.
Vice versa. So the nonprofit couldn't be the lead.
City of Stevens Point is the applicant and
Yep.
WLGCC is the sub-awardee.
Yeah, and then I feel like there was another participant too in there, because they got like 165, so.
Okay.
They had the three together to make it up to 150, which I think was the max, but then they got a little extra because there's 22 members of the coalition, or cities in the coalition.
And so each of those cities will be able to gain some benefit from the work that they are doing.
Yes. That's my understanding.
Yeah, I think Stevens Point gets the biggest chunk of it, and
Sure.
then they're gonna somehow figure out how it's breaking down and within
others.
the coalition.
Because they basically asked, hey, is any city willing to be the lead on this application? And Stevens Point stepped up and did it, so.
Uh-huh.
Remember that for future, huh?
Yeah. Then just stick your neck out.
Right.
Pays off.
Well, great. Anything else on that from anybody?
We'll just keep you guys in the loop. I don't know how much participation SAB will get with that or not at all, but if there's opportunities for you guys to be included, I'll definitely make sure it happens.
Put it on your Facebook page. Planning department.
Yeah, right.
Celebrate some positive things.
Yes.
Well, actually, sustainability has our own Facebook
Oh, do you?
page.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then I probably need to follow that.
Yeah, I wanted to
Facebook
announce it.
page
I mean, it was
is
in the newsletter on Friday, but I wanted
Okay.
to, formally
Yeah.
announce it here, so.
Thanks for going after that. Yeah, that's going to help the community a lot. Yeah.
It's been a couple years running. I mean, Brad brought it up, I think, 3 years ago.
Wow.
And so it's been,
Sure.
yeah, well, I mean, I think you made me aware of it, I think 3 or so years ago, and we've been working towards applying ever since, so
Sure.
it feels like a big accomplishment.
For those like citizens interested too, I think there's really good rebates and like grants for people's like home properties as well to get an energy audit and
Yeah.
other sorts of improvements. I would be curious if the city would also be like open or eligible for some of those improvement, like I don't know if they're federally taxed or whatever, but I know it can help significantly reduce the cost of those improvements once you get a good list of what sort of things might be good for the buildings. So-
Yeah, I mean, once we have this plan, then hopefully we can use it to make, smart decisions in the future with other grant opportunities, and we'll know which buildings are most suitable for retrofits, and maybe, where something needs to be torn down, or, just, it's gonna be a good guiding document.
Along that same line, Jake, the Oshkosh chapter of the Citizens Climate Lobby is going to be hosting a program at, now, catch is, I probably can't remember the day and the time. I know where it is. It's at the Fox Valley, what's that called? The little university thing that's across the river from the university.
The family
Fox Valley
club.
Tech.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. I told you I'd lose words. You got to help me out, folks. But they're going to be having a couple from Oshkosh who's used a lot of that focus on energy credit and stuff, and have done some major things on their house. And they're going to be speaking to it. And it's John and Pat Nichols, who some of you may have known from the library in the past. So I think that's going to be really interesting, and I can find that information and send it to you for our Facebook page.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be good.
That makes me think of I was going to say but I keep threatening to go back to those data that we had analyzed through that student at MIT that looked at
Yes.
pre-1980 houses and post-1980 houses, and sort of really, just like adding insulation or doing other very
Right.
simple things, which are likely can earn incentives through focus.
Didn't he give us something, like a PowerPoint or something?
Yeah,
that
we
could-
have information somewhere that we could probably circle back to.
Yeah, that'd be good. And it would be good to share that along with the information about what Focus on Energy is doing and because the program that they gave through was it through sustainability when Pat was still on the board? Because Pat Hallquist is a former board member, sustainability board member, but she's very involved with Citizens Climate Lobby now, and she had planned one at the library where we had the big program on Focus on Energy.
Oh, that was like the local,
that? Was that CCL
Rep.
that did it?
No, I think that was
Focus on Energy itself.
Yeah. Mhm.
He was telling us about a lot of very cool things, but they weren't active yet. It was like, this is going to be happening. Well, my understanding is that's active now, so.
Yeah, we do have some brochures down on the second floor in the hallway for businesses and homeowners that kind of spell out all of the IRA, what's it called? Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sustainable initiatives built into that law, or. I don't know
And
what
they're
that is.
no good to people unless they know about them, so we need to get that word out there,
Right,
yeah.
So we're trying, again, there's things out there, but people gotta come in and get them.
Or follow our Facebook page.
Yes.
Did I mention we have a Facebook page? Okay. Can we move on then to the City of Oshkosh ARPA update?
Sure. Go ahead, Emma.
Okay, so kind of an update. City Manager Roloff at the April 23rd Common Council meeting kind of just gave a brief overview of where they're at. I think we discussed that there was 50-ish applications, so they're working on scoring those and possibly narrowing them down. So that's all I really have. Hopefully, in the near future, I think they're trying to get things moving. We'll know where our application sits. So.
My understanding, Joe, maybe you can speak on this, there was $2 million available and there was $10 million worth of applications, so.
I think it's 12 million.
Or 12 million, wonderful.
Yeah.
So basically,
A
we
lot
have
of-
like a 1 in 5 shot of.
Yeah. However, the sustainability plan update was mentioned in City Manager Roloff's State of the City address, so I don't know what that means, but it was mentioned. The need for it to be updated, so I thought that was good.
Yes, it is time for it to be updated. This is true. I had hoped to have dates tonight for the Summers Farmer Market. I do not have them yet. They told me last week that they would have them for me for all the organizations that I have meetings coming up, and now they say maybe by the middle of the month. So as soon as I have those, I will give them to Brandon and Emma, and they can send us something and we can see when we can, whatever dates they give us, we can see if we can staff them or not. Because we requested no specific dates.
Have you discussed what you want to cover at those farmers markets already?
Briefly.
Everything. I think rain barrels was a big one, just like more education pieces, but that we can educate the public, maybe looking at like a water bill or an electric bill. In the past, I believe you've done the water barrels, and that seemed to be a big hit. So kind of keeping it open.
Have you got thoughts for us?
My go-to is always rain barrels. A lot of times, like, I just did a rain barrel workshop up in Appleton, and different cities sponsored them to give away some rain barrels as well, because that's part of their stormwater credit and permitting process. Plus, they get to check off active education for the municipality there on their DNR permit, so that's a really good go-to. But I think also there's some education that we could increase, whether that's on Facebook now or at the farmers market, for the credit application for rain barrels and rain gardens.
Yeah, I was going to mention rain gardens.
Yeah, because when I moved here, I was like, of course, I'm going to put my rain barrel in and do all these things. And one of my coworkers mentioned, because she lives in Oshkosh too, that there's that credit. And I started talking with some of my neighbors who had them, and they had no idea. So I think that there is just a lack of awareness of some of the financial benefits, from the city, at least why. So
I know we have that. There's like a program where you can help the water in your backyard drain or whatever. I can't remember the name of it.
The mini storm.
Yeah, and a great program and everything. But I think a lot of those issues could be solved with rain gardens as well. You don't always need to have a pipe get rid of water. You can have an area that is wettish sometimes.
Yes.
And we did have, in our materials that we would set out on the table, we did have, they might need updated, it's what I'm thinking, we're gonna have to look at them. We had the application for the stormwater credits and everything for, it's based on how much hard spaces, you've got. And so that was there, but it's like a 3 or 4 page application, so yeah, exactly.
it is. I looked at it and I was like, I will get to that when I can.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And we had a lot of other information on a lot of other, but I haven't looked at it. I should
Well, I was
come in
thinking
and look at it
when we do the
sometime.
workshop tonight, I can go grab that box
That'd be great.
and we can we'll go through it.
Yeah,
Good, we'll
because it
do
is
that.
like for the general public, I think that can be kind of a daunting application. It could be simplified to some degree, or explain what is categorized as a hard surface. Are we including like roof space because that's non-permeable? Are we only doing like the cemented areas? I know it says you can reach out to the city for that exact number, but then people worry that somebody's going to come to their house, and that's a conversation I have with somebody. They're like, well, what if I might be building a shed and I haven't gotten the permit yet? I was like, that's its own problem, but
Hypothetically.
yeah, but I don't think that they're going to come and look at your house to measure. They can do all that stuff online
No, we
nowadays.
typically, like, if someone comes in for a driveway permit or a shed permit and they're like over on impervious or really close based on our measurements, I always tell them to go back, do your measurements, and then bring it back to us. And I mean, like, if they're way off, well, then
Yeah.
we're going to probably question it. But if it's like a little bit better than the numbers that our computers are doing, I'm gonna take their word for it.
Right.
And I maybe should mention, Alyssa, I don't know if you know how our sustainability board we're under the auspices of the planning department.
Okay.
So our liaisons, Emma
Oh.
and Brandon, are both planners with the city.
Okay.
So, and that's how they get so many great answers for us a lot of the time and are able to say, this is what code is and stuff like that.
We're unfortunately kind of a central clearinghouse. So a lot of calls come our way.
There is that.
If
Ah,
you
come
don't know
on,
what
that's
it
why
is,
you get
send
the
it
big
to
ones.
Right.
Okay, well then, other agenda items for future meetings, is there anything beyond more reports on Nomo May and the Summers Farmers Market?
Jacob had brought something up that's not on the agenda, and we can talk about it later during the
During the
workshop.
workshop?
But it's related to the tree protection zones, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to, dependent on what the group thinks, we can maybe get that on as a future topic.
Well, I think after we've had our workshop on our goals, we'll
Yeah.
be better able to answer that. So nobody has anything burning right at the moment. We'll find out later. Okay. Well, then our next meeting will be on Monday, June 3rd, right here in this room at the same time, same place. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn to workshop.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, let's do it. We're adjourned.